mechanic that you use, because it's going to cost you an arm and a leg, just go to youtube.com/Earl on Cars and ask Rick the question. You can post an audio clip or video clip, and if you want to, you don't have to. Just describe the problem, then call the show. And I always say every morning during my live introduction, this is what makes our show the show it is, you. But you have to call or text. We have some other vehicles, as I said, YouTube and Facebook. Facebook.com/Earl on Cars. Our regular old-fashioned telephone number is simply 877-960-9960. That's 877-960-9960. Call us. Nancy Stewart, sitting to my left here in the studio. She's got a laptop, and as soon as you call, she sees it on the screen, and we prioritize our phone calls. Why? Because we don't want to keep you holding for a long time. Also because we've only got 5 lines, I think, coming into the studio, and you might get a busy signal. I hate it when that happens. So if I'm yakking or Rick's yakking, we're going to stop, go to the telephone, and we're going to take your call. 877-960-9960. And for those of you who are a little shy about live radio, I used to be, but doesn't bother me anymore. It's something like kind of riding a horse. You get used to it, then it's easy every week. So, but if you're a little bit timid about live radio, you want to call the telephone, text us at 772-497-6530. That's 772-497-6530. And we will archive those. Stu Stewart, sitting right across from me, he keeps a list of all the text. And we might not get to it immediately. We might be doing a phone call or something else. But during the show, we're on for 2 hours. Remember, this is from 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to 10 a.m. And we will usually get to all our texts. There's also a really cool venue for getting heard on our show, an anonymous way to say anything you want, or just privacy protected. I mean, people are becoming more and more concerned about their privacy. I mean, this world we're living in today, there's very little privacy out there. So we provide you with a privacy way to talk to us, and we don't know who you are, where you are. You can say anything you like. And that link, that web link, is youranonymousfeedback.com. youranonymous. That's anonymous. You're anonymous. Feedback.com. And we'll get to those too. And it's a very popular way. We get a lot of those, and we'd love to have you use that. And, you can use it anyway and tell us who you are. A lot of people do that. They use youranonymousfeedback.com, but then they tell us who they are. But we don't care. I mean, however you want to do it. So here we are. Lots of ways to talk to us. And we're going to cover some items that we think are important. But remember, it isn't what we think are important, it's so much what you think is important. So 877-960-9960. If you can call us at that number, we will answer the phone immediately. I'm going to turn the mic over to Nancy Stewart, my co-host. She was a co-founder of the show about 20 years ago. And we started out in a little half-an-hour show, and now it's developed into a full 2 hours. And we hardly have enough time in 2 hours. I don't know if I have the stamina to go more than 2 hours, but maybe one day we will. But that's a lot of time. And with a lot of calls and a lot of texts and a lot of anonymous feedbacks, it goes by in like 5 minutes. So hang on to your hats. Here we go. Here's Nancy Stewart. I'm going to turn the mic over to her.
Good morning, everyone. We're glad to be back, as Earl said. This morning we really want to motivate, and we want to give the ladies an incentive. Well, I should say motivate, inspire, and educate. And you, the audience, that's important to us. You're a very important part of the show. You help us along the way in these 2 hours. But ladies, just a little inspiration. I offer $50 for the first 2 new lady callers. The first 2 new lady callers, give me a call. Give us a call. Say hello. ask questions, give us some advice. 877-960-9960. For everyone else, you can text us at 772-497-6530. We have a great show ahead. Don't go away. Stay with us. As always, we have a great mystery shopping report from Al Hendrickson Toyota. Now back to the recovering car dealer.
Yeah, for those of you, we're worldwide, I think. We have some calls from out of the country, but we're in South Florida, and South Florida is very interesting in that it is I call it the Sodom and Gomorrah of car dealers. You know, car dealers, if you're new to the show, are probably the most difficult group of retailers to deal with that you've ever seen. And they have a reputation of being so with the Gallup poll. Since 1977, they've been at the bottom of the Gallup poll on honesty and ethics and profession. Sometimes they're next to last, but the average buyer, certainly in the United States, is afraid, and sometimes afraid isn't the word. It's just a distasteful thing to have to go in and buy a used car, a new car, or even get your car repaired. So, of all the places in the United States, South Florida is the worst. Our mystery shopping report, which I'll let my son Stu Stewart tell you more about in just a second, we shop a lot of dealerships in South Florida, but we also shop dealerships out of state. And we see a contrast. We've had some excellent shopping reports in Tennessee and Pennsylvania compared to what we see in South Florida. But for some reason, South Florida is just just a very, very unpleasant place for anybody to buy a new or used car. But it has some of the largest dealers, and that's where I got off on this tangent. We shopped Al Hendrickson Toyota, who is the second largest this year in terms of their sales rate, the second largest volume Toyota dealership in the world. I mean, they sell about 1,000 cars a month. Is that right, Stu?
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, in these days, it's come down to probably closer to like 700.
Yeah, 7, yeah. But they're a huge dealer, and they're second only to a dealership in Los Angeles area called Longo Toyota. So, and then the third or fourth largest dealers are in South Florida for Toyota, and the same thing is true for Honda, Ford, General Motors, so on and so forth. So I don't want to harp on Toyota. In full disclosure, we are a Toyota dealership. We have a Toyota dealership in North Palm Beach, and I say that in full transparency because, hey, maybe I'm just trying to con you into buying Toyotas from me. I want you to be sure this is not the case. If you listen to the show, you know it's not the case. This is not an infomercial. But it is a good thing that we have that car dealership experience. I mean, Rick Kearney has worked for me for 25 plus years, and so that's one of the reasons he really knows how to repair cars. He also sees some of the devious tactics that other car dealers use. And so the same thing with Stu as general manager of our dealership. Nancy and I were all in the business, and so insiders can recognize deception more so than outsiders. You know, you read all the headlines about the Federal Trade Commission, and there's always lawsuits against car dealers, but you know who really knows how bad you're being taken advantage of? It's the car dealers, and we are a car dealer, so we know what's going on, and the other car dealers know that we know what's going on. So we have a lot of fun. And the mystery shopping report, which Stu is going to talk about a little bit now, is one of the reasons why we're infamous among car dealers. They know what we're doing with the mystery shopping report. Stu?
Well, in the report, I alluded to or the conversation how we settled on Al Hendrickson Toyota. So we were having a little conversation. I think we might have a call.
Yes, we do.
We do? Okay. Well, I will cede my time to Miss Nancy.
Thank you, Stu. I want to say that the cardinal rule here for anyone who wants to walk into a dealership, do your homework. It is definitely, well, I don't even think landmines even define the atmosphere that you will find yourself in. So please do your homework. I'm going to take the first call this morning, and that's a young lady by the name of Kathy from St. John's, Florida. Welcome, Kathy.
Hi, Nancy. Nice to talk to you. My question today is, what do you think of third-party car brokers like Give Me the VIN or Car Buyer USA when you have an extra car to sell?
Okay,
A,
go ahead.
a car for sale at what?
Could you repeat that,
repeat
please,
the
Kathy?
question?
Could you repeat the question?
Sure. I'm sorry. I said, what do you think of the third-party car brokers like Give Me the VIN or Car Buyer USA when you have an extra car to sell?
Brokers.
Okay, if the question is about brokers in general, car brokers, for those that haven't dealt with one, just like any broker, they operate as a middleman between the buyer and the seller. And of course, when you have a middleman, you have a markup that you don't have if you deal direct. But you also have, theoretically and hopefully, the broker has the experience and the ability to guide you to save you more than what the broker fee is. So when dealing with any broker, you just have to weigh the pros and the cons. The con is the fact that there's an extra fee which he charges you. So number one, you need to know exactly what the broker fee is, and you should also know what the exact selling price of the car is out the door. If he's going to be the broker, then he should negotiate a price low enough to pay his fee and still save you money.
Oh, sure, absolutely. I was thinking about going that route, but I'd rather do my homework, as Nancy always says, and then go in and figure out what I'd like to buy and make my comparison.
Yeah, here's where being a car dealer gives us a lot of insight, because we deal through brokers also, and we know that some brokers out there charge outlandish fees. We can think of dealers that
Over
are
$1,000.
thousands of dollars, yeah. And so a fair fee, I would say, would be around $500, and the broker has relationships set up with certain dealers and different makes of cars that he has an understanding that they will treat him fairly, he will treat them fairly, and he will bring them customers. So
in normal times, the dealer really feels the brunt of the broker fee, and these days the customer is feeling it because the dealer will, even with the broker, is still going to demand a much higher price.
Today, Kathy, about the best you could find, if a broker could find you a car at MSRP, that would be a feat. And if you had to pay an extra $500 for that, it might be worth it. So it's something you might want to consider if you would feel comfortable with and trust the person you're dealing with.
And Kathy, from your response, I've been listening to you. It sounds like you've been listening to the show, and you're an educated consumer. I do have to add that sometimes we look at brokers, and as maybe, for lack of another word, an easier way to purchase a vehicle, but often enough, things are lost in translation, let's put it that way. So you really have to be aware, and I'm sure that you can do that very well, because the bottom line here is saving you money, and you just have to keep an eye on all that. I hope we answered your question.
No, that was wonderful. Yeah, I watch it every Saturday. My husband, he's got the full knowledge of cars. He was kind of educating me.
Very good. Kathy, have I spoken to you before?
I don't think so, no.
Very
is
good.
my first time calling.
Kathy, if you'll stay on the line and you'll talk to Jeremy, who is in our control studio, he can get your information and your contact information, and I can get that $50 that you just won out to you.
Oh, thank you so much, Nancy. That's wonderful news.
Oh,
That's
thank
a great birthday present for myself.
Yeah, and Jeremy would be glad to take care of you. And I'm going to mention, before I forget, happy birthday, Jeremy. Today's Jeremy's birthday.
Happy birthday.
Oh, it was my birthday yesterday.
Oh,
Happy
really?
birthday.
Happy birthday, Kathy. $50 can
Nancy.
help you out a bit. So
Sure.
talk to Jeremy, and you'll get that 50.
Okay, thank you so much, Nancy. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Spread the word. 877-960-9960, or you can text us at 772-497-6530. And don't forget, you're anonymousfeedback.com. Back to Stu.
Yeah, so when the wheels were spinning on the for the mystery shop, we were thinking about Costco because we did the Schumacher Volkswagen last week with Costco. So usually we like to do these in kind of like in phases or themes. So I wanted to stick with Costco. So Agent Lightning and Earl and I were just kicking it around, and I was suggesting something pretty innocuous because I don't have that adventurous soul that my father has, and he comes back with Al Hendrickson. I go, oh God, because it's the Toyota dealership phenomena. The fact that we don't. It's a little bit risky or dangerous to kind of do that. We don't want to be, like Earl said, assumed to be knocking our most immediate competition or same brand competitors. And also, Toyota didn't like it, so we got to just make sure anything that we say is straight up, and that's what we always do anyway. So that's why we're not really that worried, but it's still it's a little bit more exciting to do Al Hendrickson than it is to do the guy down the street.
And also, to be honest with you, part of the fact that Al Hendrickson and I go way back.
Yeah.
Al Hendrickson worked for General Motors at one time, and he actually signed me as a car dealer with Pontiac 1,000 years ago. And now his son is running the dealership. So it's a little bit of that. Al and I haven't spoken in a while, but we...
and Al's son, Al Jr. and I, we go way back too.
Yeah.
Since about 16 years old.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
There's a connection there. And by the way, both of them are really lovely people and just really kind, cool people. But it's the dealership that we're looking at, not those guys. So anyway, Agent Lightning is a pro. She goes down there. She knows the Costco program, and I had a really good time writing this one up. So it should be a good one. Did you guys read it?
Sounds like
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
What was it, 11:40 you sent that to me?
Oh, come on. It wasn't that late. It varies. Last week it was 9:31.
Oh, that was last week.
Last week, yeah.
I was reading it at midnight. Sorry.
Okay.
To compliment you, it was a great mystery shopping
thanks,
report.
yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, you don't want to miss this one. As always, a fantastic mystery shopping report. We are going to go back to the phones and talk to Marty, West Palm Beach, a regular caller. Good morning, Marty.
Good morning. I got a question for Rick. I have a 2020 Camry, and this past couple weeks when I was parked with the two right wheels were in the gutter, trough, whatever you want to call it, and I went to pull out, and the emergency brake went on. And I didn't pull the lever to put it on, and I've never used the emergency brake since I've owned the car for 2.5 years. So I wonder if Rick can tell me if there's a problem.
Did you maybe have your door open a little bit?
Not that I can recall, but it's always possible.
That'd be my first thought, because starting in 2020 with a lot of our cars that have switched over to the electric parking brake,
Right.
they've tied it in now to the door switch, to where if your door is open, and you're in gear, it automatically engages that parking brake.
I'll be darned. I learned
right,
something
well,
new.
You've seen videos of people, they get frustrated, something happens, they jump out of the car, and the car is still in gear, and the car just starts rolling down the road because it's still in drive. And so now the cars are set up, they automatically activate the parking brake. I would check to see, was there a possibility that your door might have been not closed quite all the way, just half closed?
Will that just be the passenger?
allow
Will
that
that
pin
just be the
switch.
driver door or any door?
It's the driver's door.
Just the driver's door?
Yes.
All right, I'll check this the next time if it happens. This time I've been looking to see, once I put it in drive, to see if the light, goes off where it says park. But this only happened, I'd say, in the last 2-3 weeks.
Yeah.
So,
Check to make sure
I'll
that your
check
driver's
it.
door is securely closed, and then when you put it into drive, that parking brake should automatically disengage.
okay, yeah, like I say, this has only happened in the last couple of weeks. I've had the car for 2.5 years. It hasn't happened.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I haven't fallen out of the car.
Yeah.
So
That's a good thing.
I just hope. I just wondered if there was something wrong with the brake itself. But okay, I'll make sure I check that.
Yeah, it's actually kind of annoying for technicians, because when I'm going to drive the car onto my lift, I open the door so I can lean out and watch the tires because I don't want to hit the lift with the tire. And when I open the door, the parking brake goes on, and all of a sudden I'm slamming into the steering wheel.
When it first happened to you, did you know what happened?
It took me a second to realize what happened
So for both of
me.
you, so Marty and you both answered. So this is one of my little pet peeves because I got to put my consumer hat on. Besides being a car dealer, when manufacturers do something like that, they should thoroughly educate their dealers, the people that are delivering the cars, and it should be required to tell. Here's a technician, a Toyota technician, that was never appraised of the fact that they had made this change in the model. And then we have a customer, Marty, who you were never apprised of the change. So when you do things like this, you engineers and people that are designing these cars, tell the people that are in the trenches what's going on so the people that sell the car can tell the customer, and certainly so our own technicians don't fall out of the car.
Yeah. I mean, you just...
it first came out on the display and where the speedometer is and everything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I was trying to read it fast and also figure out what happened. And then I just went and I looked, and I said, it must be the emergency brake. And I started driving, and of course the car wouldn't go.
Yep.
It was like jammed up.
Yeah.
So I said, oh, my God, what happened? And I just didn't want to ruin the whole brake system.
Yeah.
I didn't go too far, I can tell you that.
No, because when it goes on, it stops those wheels, and it will stop that car. And you have to reach down and manually switch it off.
Well, thanks for the call, Marty. Rick, you're a genius. I really appreciate you being so
Just
sharp on
experience.
All right, thanks. I'll make sure I shut the door.
Key word, experience.
All right.
Communication is a great thing, isn't it?
Thank you, Marty.
It's nice hearing from you, Marty. Marty's a regular. He gives us a call every week.
Just a little editorial comment for everyone listening here, whether you're buying a Honda or any car, used, new, whatever. One of the most important things you can do is to have someone that knows show you the bells and whistles and the buttons and the bows and everything about the car, because they are complicated today, and there are things that are so complicated if you were just listening, even our technicians don't know. So that's not going to do you any good when it's one of those issues. But if you come in and buy a new or used car, and they hand you the keys and you hand them the check and you go home, you're in for a lot of surprises and disappointments and aggravation. You're buying a complicated piece of machinery, computerized, high-tech, and you will be very frustrated. Part of the condition of buying that car, you should be sure that the salesperson or training manager or whatever they call the person who is responsible for educating you on all the intricacies of that vehicle spends at least 45 minutes to an hour, and they should drive the car with you, and you should ask every question. There are no stupid questions. Ask every question, and when you're all through, say, did I forget to ask anything? And then you won't remember.
A few years ago, if you said, does this car have a spare tire? That would be a stupid question.
Yeah.
Now, 1 out of every 3 cars sold does not have a spare tire, so it's a great question.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm
Things are
serious.
changing.
We're car dealers. We know what goes on. One of the most common complaints that I get from my customers is my car wasn't explained to me properly. I didn't. Now maybe it was and they forgot, or maybe we didn't do it. But I'm telling you, if you haven't bought a new car in a while or a current model car in a while, you are in for both a surprise and a disappointment. Surprise at how many features that it has on there that you never imagined could be on a car, and the disappointment is no one told you about them. I've actually myself, as an owner of a dealership, driven a car for a year, and then when I turned the car in to get another car, found out about a bunch of things on the car I didn't know were there that I could have used. I mean,
Right, that you had on. This is new.
no, it's been there for 5 years.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, guys. Great conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, give us a call at 877-960-9960. And you can text us at 772-497-6530. Hey, anyone out there, has anyone noticed how the prices are coming down for electric vehicles? I have a list that I can read to you later on in the show. if you're interested, electric vehicles, that's what it's all about. It's here, whether we like it or not.
I think I saw one for like $30,000. Hard to believe.
Yes, it is. The list is hard to believe. We are going back to the phones, and we're going to talk to Petra from Palm Bay. Good morning.
Hello?
Hello. Good morning, and welcome to the show. Hello?
Hi.
Hi.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Did I pronounce your name correctly?
It's Petra.
Oh, Petra? Okay. Have I spoken to you before?
No.
Oh, welcome. You just won yourself $50 this morning for being the second lady caller. $50.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. When we're finished with our conversation, stay on the line and talk to Jeremy. He'll take your contact information, and I'll send you out a check. What can we do for you this morning?
I have a question about fuel.
Okay.
Since when I go to the gas station, there's always so many different fuel
choices.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and octane, I guess it's called.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So, like, what is the best one to run in my car, or what's, like, the major difference?
Have you checked your owner's manual?
Simplest answer, Petra. When you open the little flap door for your gas cap, right on your gas cap, it will say what recommended fuel you should be using. If it says use, most of them now, you're not too worried about the octane level. If it says use premium fuel, there will be a sticker on that fuel door that says use premium only. That's on certain cars like Lexus, a lot of the higher end cars. Otherwise, stick with the 87 octane. It's going to run just fine on it. The computer will adjust the car to make it run perfectly on it. But the thing you need to be careful of is the ethanol content. Most cars now can run up to 15% ethanol, and it will say this right on your gas cap. If it says up to 10% only, make sure that you get the pump handle that says 10% ethanol only. And if you see something that says E85 and your car is not rated for E85 fuel, be very sure, do not put that in your car. And also watch careful to make sure, because a lot of them now, they've got 3 and 4 different pump handles. So you'll have one for the E10 to E15 fuel, which that's safe in just about every car right now. They'll have the E85, and then they'll also have diesel. And the diesel nozzles used to be much larger and wouldn't fit. Now they're small, and they will fit right into the normal gas can, normal gas tanks. So you got to be careful which one you look for. Look for 87 octane and the E10 or E15. And that's all you need to worry about.
Okay, so I shouldn't waste money like doing the 89 octane?
No, it's that really. It was a nice little scam when it came out, but it's gotten old. There's no reason to run that fuel in your car. It's really not going to make any difference. And if you stick with a good name brand gas station, Shell, Chevron, Mobil, most of the stations, even Rocket and 7-Eleven, they're getting high quality fuel. They're all buying it from the same refineries. The fuel is the same coming to all of them, and you're going to have no worries with it.
And Petra,
I appreciate that information.
Also, this is Nancy. I just want to give you a little tip. I stick with the same gas station. I choose that gas station, and that's where I go. And like Rick said, check that gas nozzle. Don't be taken advantage of. What are you driving?
Well, correct. I drive a Honda Odyssey.
Uh-huh. Very good car.
Yep.
Great car.
Yeah,
Honda.
I love it.
Okay, well, you sound like an educated consumer. I thank you for the phone call. Spread the word to your lady friends and tell them $50 for the first 2 new lady callers. Have a great weekend.
You too. Thank you.
You're welcome. 877-960-9960, or you can text us at 772-497-6500. 830. And, I think that we ought to give a shout out to Earl's Vigilantes. You can go to Earl on Cars. He's going to pop his hat on, and it's a great looking hat that Stu is responsible
I'll
for.
just hold it close so you can see the.
Yeah, so go to Earl on Cars where you'll find Earl's Vigilantes, and you can volunteer to help maybe somebody in your neighborhood. It's really a win-win situation, and all the information is right there. You can also talk to. Is that list available yet of the volunteers like Marty and so many of the other?
Yeah,
guys?
it's on Earl on Cars.
Yeah. Anyway, it's all there on Earl on Cars. Rick, you had something?
Got a couple YouTube questions.
Oh, great.
First one here is from Charles Reeves. He says, "Good morning, all. Please give us the skinny. Would it be advantageous of me to look into a dealer loaner car, which will have between 7,000 to 9,000 miles on it, and the dealer would then sell it as a certified pre-owned vehicle versus a new car?"
Sure.
Well, we always recommend a used car over a new car. It's a better value as long as you get the right used car. A dealer loaner car is just like any other used car. It's oftentimes they try to, sell demonstrators, dealer loaners at higher prices.
Right.
But they're driven just like anything else. It's a mileage on the car. Probably they're a low enough mileage where it's going to be certifiable when you buy it.
Yeah.
And it's today everything's in short supply. Don't be lulled into the fact that used car prices have come way down. They really haven't come way down. They've come down a little bit. Today's cars are still selling. Used cars are still selling very high compared to where they were a year ago. So in comparison to a year ago, used car prices are still sky high. Compared to last month, they've come down, and maybe the month before. But there's no huge plunge in used car prices.
Right. The other thing to watch out for is if they're selling it, it's a demo. Make sure that it's actually being sold as an official demo. It's checked on the buyer's order because that protects you on your warranty. And if it's not, make sure you're buying it as a used car. It's titled, resold. A dealership can buy a car from themselves, title it, and then it's an official used car. And then that way you don't have to worry about losing out on a new car warranty.
Exactly.
Well, you still lose out on a newer car warranty, but you have a used car. Okay, we have a text from Anne-Marie. We got time for that?
Oh, welcome, Anne-Marie.
All right. Anne-Marie says, "Good morning. It seems that more and more vehicles, other than basic models, now have sun/moon roofs, whether the prospective buyer wants one or not. I have a few questions. One, what is the difference between a sunroof and a moonroof? Moonroof you can see through. Number two, does a sunroof affect the structural integrity of the roof in the event of a rollover accident?" I do want to talk about that. When you have less metal and less cage around you, that's obviously air or glass doesn't protect you as well. The moonroofs that are built with the cars at the factory, they're designed that way. So that's something I feel completely comfortable. Aftermarket moonroofs, we just take any old car and a company cuts out a square in it and puts an apparatus so it closes and opens. I don't trust those. I think if you were in a rollover accident, without a doubt, I think that the structural integrity has been compromised.
And I would add this. I think moonroofs and sunroofs are a profit-making thing for the manufacturers. To me, the cost of a moonroof or a sunroof, the suggested retail, is much higher than I intuitively see the cost of that.
Well, now they're built into the MSRPs because they're standard on most of the higher ends.
But I just, this is just me. I don't like the idea of a hole in my roof when I'm driving a car.
Well, you have a giant roof of glass.
I have a hole in the roof on my Tesla.
No, you don't. You have a giant. The entire roof is glass.
Yeah, but
pretty much.
But it feels like a hole in the roof.
Well, one of the other factors.
Don't repeat that again.
One of the other factors
look at
on
that
a
glass
sliding roof like that.
every time I drive it.
Eventually, on an older car, they will start to leak excessively.
Another reason.
Now, they're actually designed to leak a little bit, and they have drains, but if those drains get clogged, which can happen even on a brand new car, insects can crawl up inside those drains and plug it up, suddenly you've got water flooding into your interior.
She has more questions. She says, assuming if I'm wearing my seatbelt, am I more likely to receive worse injuries if I'm driving a vehicle with a sunroof as opposed to a solid metal roof in a rollover accident? I don't know if there's any data on that.
I never heard that.
But I mean, just thinking about the material around you, I think that steel is going to protect you better than glass. Even though I'm sure that the glass that they use in the sunroofs are similar to the safety glass. It's not going to So I feel comfortable, and my whole family drives cars with sunroofs, so I feel comfortable with it.
Sunroof glass is going to be the same as the side windows. So if it breaks,
it'll shatter
down into those little pebbles,
right,
which hopefully is intended to not give large pieces of glass that can cause major injuries.
So what's the average approximate cost of a sunroof?
It's been a while since as a package, they're always like around $800, $1,000, $1,200.
Yeah, I think it's over $1,000. Here, again, that's another gripe I have, is a lot of manufacturers will build most of the cars. I'm a very suspicious person by nature, and when the manufacturer pushes an accessory, an option, that usually means they're making a lot of money on it. And they like to build a lot of cars with sunroofs and moonroofs.
Yeah.
And
Or there's
the
a big
dealers
demand
like it
for it.
too. It gives more margin, more markup. So a lot of people are taking cars with sunroofs and moonroofs because they have to, because the manufacturer's not building anything without the
They should
moonroof.
have a choice,
Yeah,
I
they should-
personally
they should.
love moonroofs.
Yeah.
I wouldn't drive one without it. I feel kind of, a little claustrophobic if I can't have the light
But you
around.
don't have to pay for your car.
In a way, I do actually. But yes, call. Excellent. Phone
We're
call.
finished with Anne Marie?
Oh yeah. We're ready
Okay.
for a call.
Okay, sunroof, moonroof, what do you think, guys? Give us a call, 877-960-9960. Me, I just say it's a personal decision, just like so many other decisions that you have to make before you walk, if you so choose, into a dealership. Me, I'm on the internet. So we're going to go back to the phones, and we are going to ask Victoria to please be patient. We will get to you, and we are going to talk to Gary in Stewart. Good morning. Good morning, Gary.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
We're well, thank you.
I just want to ask you. I want to ask you folks a question, if I can. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I can, very loud and clear.
Okay. I ran into a curb in my complex, and they put a left front control arm on the car. I have a Hyundai Sonata, and I had the tires balanced, and I had a four-wheel alignment. Is that car a unibody? Should I have someone check the frame, or do you think it should be okay?
Hyundai Sonata is a unibody car, so you don't actually have a separate frame. The frame and the body are all one. And once the alignment's been checked, the control arm, which would have shown being bent by being out of alignment. So now that they've replaced that, if all the alignment specs came back into proper specification, you're fine.
Next question quickly, and I think you guys do a great job. I'm a little new to the car business. I've been doing it about 43 years.
Oh.
But that's neither here nor there, and I ran some large auto groups in my day, but that's neither here nor there. If you were going to put a car on a Hyundai Sonata, because I use this car as a commuter car, I have about 150,000 miles on it, and I service it to the back. Would you put a Michelin tire on this car? What would you put for the best performance tire bar? Money's really, and when I say that, I don't sound like I'm wealthy. I would pay for a good tire. What kind of tire would you guys put on?
Gary, we wouldn't recommend by make. Michelin builds some good tires. They also build some tires that aren't so good. The brand is not all that important. We usually look at consumer reports, look at the actual experience of wear and tear on tires. But you can talk about Michelin, Goodyear, Firestone. There are a lot of good Japanese and even Chinese brands. If you go to Consumer Reports online, or you have to pick up a copy of the library or buy one, they recommend tires. But don't just assume because you have a a good brand tire that is highly recommended. Every manufactured tire has some tires that are not so good.
I understand. Listen, I think you guys do a great job. Lots of success with your dealerships, and you have a great day, and thanks for the answer.
Thank you, Gary.
Thank you, Gary. Keep on listening. 877-960-9960. Or you can text us at 772-497-6530. That Consumer Report, you just can't say enough about it. And you can go right there, as Earl said, and you can check out tires. You can check out anything. Every single month, they can just give you so much information, and it's conducive to the climate of what is going on in the auto industry. Right now, I have October edition of my subscription in front of me, and it just gives you a guide to the safest cars to drive. So take a look.
Not to beat a dead horse about tires, but it happens to be very important for a car. I mean, that's pretty obvious. From a safety standpoint, there's not much more important than your tires. And it's a complicated product. It looks simple, big ring of rubber, but there are so many different types of tires, and there's so many different driving conditions. Winter, wet roads, they're very. You're in Arizona or Florida, hot highways, and blah blah blah. Consumer Reports is probably one of the things that you really need most with respect to your car when it chooses to doing anything to pick your tire. And they will give you some very good guidance. How you drive is important. The type of tire, there's a wealth of information in the tire wear tread index. And you have certain tires you buy that will give you better fuel economy, blah, 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 blah. But it's almost, in fact, it is too complicated. The tires that come with a new vehicle from the factory, when you buy a Hyundai Sonata, they have a deal with a tire manufacturer, and they build their tires to their spec. And typically, manufacturers, when they equip their new car that you're going to buy, they try to make the tires smooth. And when you drive the car, the manufacturer, they want to sell the car. So when you try your demonstration ride, they want it to glide smoothly. They're not worried about how long will the tire last or a lot of other factors that are important in both economy and safety. They want a smooth running tire. So we recommend generally when you buy a new car, think twice before you replace that tire with the same tire. You might want to choose a different tire that'll get you a lot longer tread life. So again, I went on and on about tires, but it's a simple thing, but it's also a complicated thing.
That's a lot of great information out there. Take care of your tires. Your tires will take care of you. That pressure in your tire is extremely important to maintain. Rick, you were going to say something?
Oh, well, just got more YouTubes here.
Okay, I'm going to interrupt you, and I'm going to go back to the phones where Victoria is calling from Wellington and has been waiting. Thank you for your patience. Good morning.
Hi.
Just calling in again to talk about deceitful car dealers taking extra money from customers.
We're
and
ready.
telling you that I'm still plowing ahead trying to find out what car dealers are owned by Terry Taylor. Right now, I know that he purchased 3 car dealers on car dealerships. He purchased a property for 3 car dealerships on Southern Boulevard in West Palm. A Nissan, a Mazda, and a Toyota.
Victoria, excuse me for interrupting, but we have a lot of new listeners and are not familiar. Victoria, for the edification of our new listeners, Victoria is involved in litigation with a Terry Taylor dealership where she was taken advantage of, and she's trying to build a class action suit for her attorney to rectify the wrong which is done to her and probably other Terry Taylor dealerships. Terry Taylor is the largest owner of dealerships in the world, I suppose. He's a private owner. He owns over 100, I'm sure, maybe 200. He's a very Well, for those of you who are old enough to remember Howard Hughes, he's a very kind of mysterious person. He doesn't like to be identified with his businesses. And so the businesses, the dealerships, in Terry Taylor's case, are all over the United States, but they have different names. And we have found by, trying to find ownership, and Victoria also, you have to really drill deep to find out if it could be a Charlie Brown Hyundai, but Charlie Brown Hyundai is owned by Taylor. So Terry Taylor owns dealerships that are in other names. So I'm sorry to interrupt you, Victoria, but I just wanted to set that framework, and I know you want to give us that information on the attorney and your situation, and I'll let you take the mic back.
Okay, well, so what I'm trying to do right now is find out what Terry Taylor does own. And he does own this company called Automotive Group, and they're actually in Palm Beach, West Palm Beach. And I've been trying to figure out how to find out if it's a Terry Taylor company. Now, one of the things I noticed is the contract that I was given has a heading on it, and it starts out and it says at the top, ILAW in big capital letters 553FL-ARB-E919 retail installment sales contract, single finance charge with arbitration provision. So if you have a contract that you bought a car with that at the top of it, there's a fairly good chance that that's a Terry Taylor contract. And also, if you go to your car dealership and you've had any problems, when you go there, ask them if Terry Taylor owns the dealership. They might tell you. And please pass that information on to Earl, because we're trying to compile a list as best we can.
Exactly, yeah.
Right. And I've already filed a complaint with the Federal Trade Commission and with the Florida Trade Commission, but we need more voices. We need to get more people to say that they've had problems. And you need to send that information to Earl so we can get it together and work on it.
And Victoria, they can send the information of all the ways we have to be contacted. They could even call the show or text the show. Call us at 877-960-9960, which is the way you just called us. They can text us at 772-497-6530. And, of course, they can reach us on Facebook at facebook.com/Earl on Cars or youtube.com/Earl on Cars. Youranonymousfeedback.com. So there's multiple ways that you can contact us if you have an issue with a Terry Taylor dealership, or if a dealership that you're not sure who owns. He owns so many dealerships, there's a reasonable chance it might be owned by Terry Taylor. If you don't know the owner or having difficulty finding the owner, it might be owned by Terry Taylor, because he deliberately, in my opinion, seems to want to remain anonymous. There's nothing wrong with wanting to remain anonymous, but he seems to carry it to some kind of an extreme. You mentioned some local dealerships, Palm Beach Motors, I believe, the franchise for is it a Land Cruiser or not Land Cruiser, a Land Rover,
Rover, yeah.
And for Jaguar and for something else, another luxury car, is owned by Terry Taylor. I had another attorney call me. He couldn't find out. Here's an attorney that had drilled and drilled and drilled. I was able to find out that Terry Taylor owned it through a associate I had who was a former partner, limited partner with Terry Taylor. So give us that information and we'll pass it along to Victoria, and we wish you the very best of luck in this. I don't think Terry Taylor knew who he had stepped on when he stepped on you, but I know you're not going to give up.
Well, next week maybe I'll give some information out if people don't know about how to file a complaint with the Federal Trade Commission, because these are the Florida Division of Motor Vehicles that regulates dealers, has already fined and cited 441 Nissan. They wouldn't tell me how much money they fined them, but they did tell me that they fined them.
Very good.
And so, it's important for us. When a car dealership deceives a purchaser, that's violating the Consumer Protection Act, which is a Florida statute. So there's plenty of legs to stand on to potentially get your money back, but we just need to get people together so we can do it.
Exactly. Yeah, we have on our webpage, earlandcars.com, we have a link to the Federal Trade Commission complaint form, which you could download and fill out.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so earlandcars.com, and we also give the information for the Consumer Affairs Office, also for the Department of Motor Vehicles. So Attorney General complaint, we got all of the government complaint areas are on earlandcars.com.
Okay, good. And if everybody would just go there and fill out those forms and send them in, that's how your voice gets heard when we're all together on it.
Exactly.
That's right, Victoria. And this is, tell all of our listeners again, in case you missed, this is Victoria. Victoria versus Terry Taylor. They didn't know who they were dealing
My
with.
money's on Victoria.
And
Thank you very much.
like you said, let's let our voices be heard. The only way you can do that is if we join together for our voices to be heard.
Exactly.
Where there's a will, there's a way, and it takes a hell of a lot of patience. Some of us just don't have that. Victoria has enough for all of us. Thank you, Victoria.
It's a matter of principle.
It definitely is. Have a wonderful weekend.
You too.
Okay, that number again is 877-960-9960. And we're going to go to John in Palm City, who's been waiting. Good morning, John.
Good morning to everyone. Mention about sunroofs. This was an era where people were going crazy. And we're building houses and putting skylights in the roof, which you don't even see them today anymore. They were not only the bubble was turning different colors, but there were leaks but there was a successful company that made a lot of money doing it for all manufacturers in California. It was called American Sunroof Company. And they not only even put sunroofs for manufacturers, which dealers had extra markups when they did do this, but they also made actually convertibles, cars that were not convertibles, like the Cadillac when it was finished in '76. They actually made a Cadillac convertible, and it was all to meet government specifications. But I just I don't want to belabor it, but it was a very successful company. The second thing I want to mention, and this is a question for Earl. I read in the paper where General Motors will offer buyouts to U.S. Buick dealers, Buicks now, as an alternative from franchise owners who don't want to make investments that will be needed as the brand goes all electric. Now, my question to Earl is, what kind of actual incentives could they give those? I mean, with a buyout, is it similar to the situation where they stopped making Oldsmobile and Pontiac, where they paid dealers? I mean, there was a guy I spoke to a while back. He used to have a GMC Pontiac dealer, but he never told me what compensation. He didn't want to discuss it, that he was offered by General Motors.
Yeah, they probably
Can you
made that.
elaborate on that, Earl, a little bit about this Buick situation now, offering buyouts? What kind of buyout could they possibly offer the Buick dealers?
Well, remember that Buick is not exactly the hottest car in the country, and that Buick dealers vary in size from, the Buick dealers we see around South Florida are very large compared to most Buick dealers. The average Buick dealer probably only sells 15 or 20 cars a month. I mean, you'd be surprised in rural areas, and they're probably over-dealered anyway. A lot of the Buick dealers have multi-franchises. They'll have more than one franchise under one roof. The number I heard in the article I read was in Automotive News, was in the $800,000, $900,000. Not a huge amount of money, but a lot of money. It's pressure in a sense from the manufacturer on the dealers. A lot of dealers are saying, listen, these electric vehicles, they're a figment of somebody's imagination. It's not going to happen. A lot of these guys are just old-fashioned, frankly, and they don't see the future is electric vehicles. So they don't have a good attitude, a lot of the dealers. So the manufacturers, they've got to clear the slate so they have outlets for electric vehicles, because Buick and all the manufacturers, General Motors and all the manufacturers, are going to be doing nothing but electric vehicles in just a few years, 20 years. You're not going to see anybody building combustion engine cars virtually. I mean, you'll always have a few being built, but it'll be in the high 90% it's electric vehicles. So they have to look at their markets, and they have markets, 50 states, so they're going to probably a lot of the smaller dealers and say, listen, we know you don't want to sell electric vehicles. We understand that. I'll write you out a check right now for $750,000, and you will agree to let me put another dealer in there at the time that we're not building any more combustion engine cars. They're not going to stop making combustion engine cars. They'll continue to build combustion engine cars, but they won't be any new model combustions. It'll be, this will be the last year of the design for this model. They might build it for 2 or 3 years, but they won't change it. And then the new model in that Buick Skylark will be all electric. And then they will not give that to a dealer unless he agrees to the buyout. The dealer has to be in there, be a player to take all EVs all the time.
Well, here's some good EV news. Last week, Starbucks and IKEA announced that they're going to make a tremendous amount of fast charging stations in their premises.
Oh, cool.
It was announced last week.
Yeah, it's a great idea. I mean, if you're looking at the future, what better way to attract a potential customer than say, hey, here's a charger for you? I mean, it'd be so cool. I mean, to pull into, think about it. You go to the mall, you pull in, and you go shopping, and you plug your car in, and when you come back, you top it off. you got a full tank of electricity. I mean, I love the idea of being able to charge my car when I go shopping. So yeah, IKEA and
They got it right.
yeah,
Starbucks.
Yeah.
Well, this is a fact that they actually signed contracts to start in on it with a big company.
Yeah, we have charging stations at our dealership, and we'll probably have a lot more as time goes by.
Right. Okay, guys.
Thank you, John.
Wait.
Thanks for the great call, John.
Wait for the shopping report.
Yes,
Thank you.
definitely. You're welcome. 877-960-9960. Text us 772-497-6530. I think we're going to get back to Rick where he was finishing up some YouTubes.
I got a couple of good ones here. Richard is asking, what's your thinking about buying an extended warranty on a new Toyota? Do you believe in them? If so, do you have specific recommendations?
Well, one of the most popular questions that we always get asked, and it isn't a black and white answer. I have a personal preference. I don't believe in insurance myself. I think that if you can afford to pay for something, you should not insure it. I mean, now this doesn't apply to fire insurance on your house or flood insurance or something serious. I mean, if you lose a huge amount of property, personal property, it's good to have that insurance. But for your car, depending on your economic circumstances, and if you buy a good car, it's probably not going to happen. Now, with all that said, for the average person, I'm not average. For the average person, if you buy a good car and you want to buy an extended service contract, you should read the contract carefully, and you're not. And what I'm going to tell you isn't to read it carefully to see what it covers. I'm going to tell you to read it carefully to see what it does not cover. Usually that's the way you get hooked and taken advantage of with an extended service contract. You say, well, look, it covers the engine, it covers the transmission, it covers the drivetrain. And, you think of engine repairs and transmission repairs, you say, ooh, that's really expensive. But what about the electronics? What about the computers in the car? What about the navigation system? What about the air conditioning? I mean, a lot of things that you don't think about are not covered. As a matter of fact, what I just described earlier is a powertrain warranty, and a powertrain warranty doesn't cost anything. They're practically free because engines and transmissions and rear axles and things like that, if you lubricate them and maintain them according to the manufacturer's recommended maintenance, they never fail. So if you're going to buy an extended service contract, be sure you know what it does not cover, and usually it's some very expensive products that typically will fail more often than the ones I've described of the powertrain. Also, you want to be sure that extended service contract will be honored any dealership or any repair facility. Sometimes these extended warranties are dealer-owned. We own our own warranty company at my dealership, but that warranty is honored anywhere. But some dealers will have their own warranty, and they'll only honor it at their dealership. It's a minefield. It's a scary thing. Don't buy an extended warranty just on the fact that it's extended warranty. If you have to buy it, the manufacturers also offer extended warranties, and if it's a manufacturer offered by Honda or General Motors, you're not going to get taken advantage of too much, Rick.
The one specific component that I would say you have to have included is it's got to cover all the components of the air conditioning.
Yeah.
Not just the compressor or the condenser, but the evaporator core. The evaporator core is the most expensive item to replace because on just about every new car, to do it, the entire dash has to come out of the car. It's a huge labor-intensive job.
Yeah.
And the evaporator core usually is the first component to go bad on an air conditioning system unless you happen to get a rock hit your condenser. And other than that, that's the big one.
And here's the other thing: if you haven't seen on television or got on the telephone or text or online solicitation, the extended service, contract companies are like rabid dogs.
Sir, can I have a call to speak to you about your extended service contract?
And so, if you are solicited for an extended service contract, black and white, don't buy it. If someone's calling you and the television ads on these extended service contracts
with iced tea and all the celebrities.
They're criminal. Never buy an extended service contract if you're solicited. If you have to buy one, then be very, very careful, as we've discussed earlier. And my overall recommendation is I don't buy them. I wouldn't buy one.
And when you do, be very, very careful. The biggest question in your extended service contract, what it doesn't cover. And I'll tell you what, the information that Rick just gave out on the air conditioner, that's gold. You just don't even think about it.
99% of extended warranties will not cover the evaporator core on the air conditioner. Mm-hmm. And if you find the ones that do, they're going to cost you so much that you'd be better off to put that money in the bank for the day the evaporator fails.
These insurance companies are not stupid. They have all the research. They know that the evaporator core is the most expensive, most common thing to fail. They know exactly. They have data for billions of cars, and when they're writing the extended service contract, they got a bunch of guys in the room and say, okay, we can't cover this, we can't cover that, because these fail a lot and they're too expensive. We'll cover all the items on the car that don't fail very much, and if they do fail, they don't cost too much. So basically, you're playing the company's game. They know what's covered, and they know what's expensive. They know what's going to fail. So you're like the guy goes in the poker game. If you look around the table and you don't know who the sucker is, you're the sucker.
Yep.
They have a plan, folks. Their plan to get rich. Do your homework. Again, it's a minefield out there, no matter what direction you walk in. 877-960-9960. Back to Rick.
This one from Donovan, I think you'll like this, Nancy.
Good morning, Donovan.
Safety in cars has been a big topic recently, especially with women and children in crash tests. The Tesla Model Y just had crash test results published from the European Crash Test Organization this week, and it scored the highest of any vehicle that has ever done the test. The car scored 97% for adult occupancy for men and women, 87% for child occupancy, and a 98% for crash avoidance. The test also proved the cars do not run over children, as the internet has been in a fuss about. Wow. Apparently, from some of the videos we've seen, Tesla's avoidance system, they claimed was having issues seeing small children running into the street. And apparently this European crash organization has said, no, their system is very good at avoiding that incident. Yeah. But apparently, yes, they are using male and female crash dummies and child crash dummies
That's great information.
in that testing.
Yeah.
Donovan, thank you so much. What great information. And, it saddens me to have read what I did from AAA and the research that they did in so many others, and bringing up to date, recognizing females and children, because in the research that I had, there was no attention given to them, and certainly things definitely have changed. Okay, I think that we are done with Rick, and I'll give you that number one more time, and then we're going to go to Stu, 877-960-9960, and don't forget you can text us at 772-497-6530. Now back to Stu.
We have a text for Nancy, but I think they want to direct it towards Rick, but you can give it a shot if you want. Hello, Nancy. My name is John from Tequesta. I have a 2017 Jeep Wrangler. I have a check engine light on that brings me back to code cylinder 4 misfire. The car has 60,000 miles, and it doesn't run any different.
60,000 miles.
60,000 miles, and it's a 2017 Jeep Wrangler, code cylinder 4 misfire.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, there's nothing more annoying than to have that light come on your dash. And you just think all kinds of things. And now for me, I just get out of the car, open my a gas lid and put it back on, close the door, get back in, straighten out the wheel, everything and anything that you can think of. But Rick can give you some pretty accurate technical information.
Just a quick generic thing. If the check engine light comes on and you recently had gotten gas within the last few days, check that gas cap, make sure it's nice and tight, and then swing by your local AutoZone. Even Pep Boys will do it, but Pep Boys usually wants to try to charge because they've got a garage inside. But any auto parts store that does not have a repair facility attached to it, they will pull that code for free. And if it's just a gas cap code, the P0440, P0455 that they say is gas cap, just ask them to clear the code. And the little code pullers, they're actually about $35, $40 if you want to get one yourself. And then you can look up what that code means on the internet and check things quickly for yourself. Now with that misfire code, my first thought is if the engine is running smoothly, and a Jeep Wrangler, I believe that's going to be a 6-cylinder engine, but even that one, if you would feel a misfire on one of the cylinders, I would have them clear the code first and see if it comes back, drive the car a little bit. It may have just been a simple glitch, and otherwise, if it starts to act up, I'd have it checked by a mechanic, because one of the big things we see here in South Florida is the coil packs go bad from just the brutal heat we've been having. And the other one is we see a lot of rats that get up in the engine and they chew on the wires, and sometimes they'll chew through one of those wires and it can cause that code and cause a misfire.
That's great information. Rick, I have to ask you, would you recommend to the listeners that they spend that $35?
If you're comfortable, a little bit of do-it-yourself type thing, it's not a bad idea. $35, $40 for one of those little code pullers that just plugs in the plug underneath the dash. And that is a standardized plug. It's called the DLC3. And you can plug that in, just push the buttons on it. It will tell you what the code is. And then you can go right onto Google and it will tell you what that code means. And like I say, if it's something generic that sounds like just a gas cap, check your gas cap, make sure it's tight, make sure that the gasket hasn't split. You may need to replace your gas cap, and you can clear it and be done yourself.
I got one question, but I can't get it out of my head. You said we see a lot of rats. How many rats have you seen?
Well, we don't actually see the rats. We see their evidence.
How many rats chewed wires have you seen in the past month?
It depends on how hungry they are. They like that soy.
I think in the shop we've seen maybe 1 or 2 in the last month.
Okay.
But wintertime we get a lot more.
Yeah. Okay. It was just, you said we see a lot of rats. I want to clear that up. Yeah.
I would say in the past year.
Not at the dealership, we don't see the rats.
Right. Well,
You know why? That's because they're in
we've
Jupiter.
got good traps there.
No, they're all in Broward County.
In the last year, I'd say we've seen at least 10 or 15 cars in the shop with rats chewing through the wiring.
Okay, that's out of 10,000 repairs.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if you open the hood on your car, take a look at those plastic engine covers and that,
Yeah.
and look and see if you see footprints in the dust.
Ah.
I see that all the time.
You're a trekker.
I am.
Yeah.
I am.
All right.
Okay, so that's the DLC3,
Yep.
and they can get that for $35.
It's the standardized connector under the dash.
I hope we answered your with a little humor. It's not humorous though. I understand your frustration because how many times have I gotten out of my car and because of Rick many years ago and loosened my gas cap and tightened it again. But there's a lot of ins and outs here. I hope we answered your question.
And he got back to us. He says, thank you, I cleared the code. It keeps coming back, but he'll check the coil pack.
Oh, great. Give us a text. Let us know how that goes.
That's right. Okay, we have some anonymous feedback, but we also have a phone call.
We do, thanks to. We're going to go to Pat in Palm Beach Gardens. Good morning, Pat.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Thank you. Love listening to your show now. I'm a first-time caller, and some great little tips and information there. I'm a bit of a car enthusiastic, do-it-yourself type of guy too at times, dealing with car dealers for a long time and so on and so forth. So, but anyway, I just went into the Audi on on Okeechobee Boulevard yesterday. And I was appalled. I was looking at some of the markups they have today, I guess, on certain cars that are of, I guess people want them. But like there was one car in particular, an A7, there was a $10,000 markup on it. I walked right out of the dealer. I wouldn't even consider buying an Audi now.
Well, you're smart. Absolutely.
Congratulations.
Thanks, guys. The Lexus I look at, they don't have that markup. I haven't seen it on their cars yet now. But I'm very disappointed, and especially in today's economy.
Yeah, it's not a time to buy a car unless you have to, and we've been repeating this on the show since the whole COVID thing happened. It's exploitation of the worst kind of retail. Car dealers and car manufacturers are getting rich. They're record unprecedented profits. And where do you draw the line? I think it's, you mentioned Lexus. Lexus seems to have more of a ethical bent than a lot of the other luxury manufacturers. And, you sell a Lexus, JM Lexus in Coconut Creek is down Fort Lauderdale Way. They limit their MS to their. Appreciate the call, Pat. Call again, please.
Thank you, Pat.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
877-960-9960, or you can text us at 772-497-6530. Send us your anonymous feedback at youranonymousfeedback.com. And I'll tell you what, that report, Consumer Report, October edition, certainly is educational. And for the time that we're in and how often we repeat, do not buy a car right now unless you have to. And if you do buy a car, buy used. We can't say it enough. Times are still very volatile. And if that old car of yours, well, if it can take another, I'm going to go out on a limb here, say another year, hang on to it. But if it's going to cost more than the car is worth, well, you know what to do. 877-960-9960. Now back to the recovering car dealer.
I think you heard, if you've been listening to the show, that our mystery shopping report coming up in about 10 or 15 minutes was at a Costco member dealer. I talk a lot about Costco on the show. I talk a lot about Consumer Reports. We have certain institutions out there, companies out there that we recommend highly when it comes to buying cars. And Costco has a members-only buying program. I know there are a lot of places, not too many, but certainly some places that Costco warehouses, they call them, aren't too close by. But if you can find a Costco warehouse and you can join the program, it's only like $65 a year to be a Costco member. You will, if you follow the rules strictly of the Costco member buying program, you will buy a new car for far less than you would pay otherwise. And the problem today is not only are there not as many Costco warehouses as we'd like to see in the country, but there are a lot of dealers that just said, to heck with it. I don't want to be a Costco member dealer because the rules are such that you have to sell me the car at a very low price. And our mystery shopping report coming up later, they were trying to find, we were trying to find a dealer. We shopped one last week, and that was a local dealer, fairly close. We talked to, who did we shop last week, Stu?
It was Schumacher Volkswagen.
Yeah, Schumacher Volkswagen. He was a Costco dealer. This time we had to go all the way south to Coconut Creek for the dealer to find another dealer that was selling approved for Toyota. And we shopped there. But if you're not a Costco member, consider it, and you will. If you do join, and you go online and you follow their instructions carefully, the instructions for the Costco member program are not simple, and they're tedious, and you have to be careful. But if you do follow the rules, you will buy a car for less than you could possibly buy it anywhere else. As I say, there's a lot of dealers out there that have scrapped the Costco program for the very reason I just described. They will not allow you to sell a car at $10,000 over sticker, as we just heard from Pat in Palm Beach Gardens, who went into Bremen Audi. $10,000 over sticker. They're definitely not going to be a Costco dealer. So find a Costco dealer, sign up, costs you $65 per year if you're not one, well worth the money, and then be very careful to deal directly with the Costco member program and follow the rules to the letter.
Stu has some anonymous feedback for all of us, and they're always very interested.
How did you know? Oh, wait, I said
now
it before.
Back to Stu.
Okay. All right, here's one here. It says, perhaps the media and government officials insisting that to save the world we must move to electric cars in a few years or the world would end should read articles on the end of the ice ages 12,500 years ago and the continuous cooling and warming of the earth that has been going on for 1 million years. I think that was from a scientist.
No.
Next one. What about?
Can I
yeah,
say
sure.
something? For those anti-electric vehicle people out there, and I respect your opinion. I mean, we're all entitled to our opinion. It isn't to save the world that electric vehicles are coming about. The electric vehicle is a far superior vehicle to a combustion engine vehicle, in every sense of the word. So they're simpler. They cost less to maintain. They cost less to repair. And eventually, when the battery technology is almost there, maybe it is there, but the battery, when 10 years from now, and if I want to be absolutely sure, I'd stake my life on it, 20 years from now, I won't be around, so don't worry about it. You can't collect. But in 20 years, the electric vehicle will be so far superior to the best combustion engine you can buy. To heck with the planet and the green and the all the argument about are we polluting the planet?
People are just weird, man. I don't understand. If you just said if you went up to somebody and said, hey, listen, I got a machine that can replace your current machine that is faster, cleaner, better, cheaper in the long run, quieter, and just cooler. But people are just resisting this for emotional reasons or political reasons.
You know, everybody's talking about saving the world and save this and save that. Let's save us from ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, and guess what, folks? Does anybody know what the resale value of an electric vehicle is? Look it up.
That's right.
Look it up. It's amazing. And I'll tell you, I was the last one to get on board as far as electric was concerned. It's here. It's now. And it's going to save me. And it will save you. Give us a call. How do you feel? 877-960-9960. Now back to Stu.
Another anonymous feedback. What about Mitsubishi dealers? Have you ever sent Agent Lightning to one of them? We haven't. There was one like right around the corner from our
I
dealership.
think we shopped one a long, long time ago.
I'm sure there's one in there, but we don't think about it. Mitsubishi has less than 1% of the U.S. market share, and probably declining. I don't know. We could look for one. I think there is there's one. I might have heard a commercial for a Galant coming out of Broward
Yeah,
County.
we try to shop dealerships that more people tend to buy cars from. And like Stu said, the Mitsubishi, I'm surprised they're still around. I mean,
Yeah.
They're
big in Japan.
Are they still?
Yeah, I saw a lot of Mitsubishis driving around
They
Japan.
built great fighter planes during World War II.
They make cool little tiny vans. Like in Japan, they have all these very small. They're not even minivans. They're just like sub minivans.
Yeah.
Mitsubishi Fuso is also really big worldwide with their box trucks and delivery vans.
Oh yeah, they have
And
a lot
they're-
of
they're-
industrial
yeah,
stuff
yeah.
too. Yeah.
Small turbocharged
Yeah.
diesels.
And they make a hell of a
that-
fighter plane
Yeah.
too.
Well, they did.
Yeah. Okay. Next.
Wow.
I've been hearing that used wholesale prices have been going down for a few weeks now, and that is accurate. If I were to sell my SUV, where would be the best, but also the safest, less likely to be scammed place to sell it? Thanks for your help. I'd say CarMax is my suggestion.
Yeah, but I think that on your side, or the volume of people that you can shop, is so easy. Now, it used to be, go back 20 years, selling a used car, it was just like, you knew you're going to get screwed. You're going to get taken advantage. Today, you can go to Carvana, Carvana.com. You can go to WeBuyAnyCar.com. Stu just said you go to CarMax.com. You can do it online. And all these, and there's a Vroom, V-R-O-O-M, Vroom, of all the crazy names.com. You got all these different online, and Google it. Who buys used cars? You'll have 100 of them. So pick the best ones, and we just gave you the best ones. Vroom, We Buy Any Car, Carvana, CarMax, and get 4, 5, 6, 7 bids, and sell to the highest bidder. Oh, and I left out the fact, if you're driving a Honda, go to 2 or 3 Honda used car lots and get the used car manager to give you a bid. You're in the best position today to sell your used car and get the top dollar for it than we've ever been in our history. And so take advantage of that. You be the seller. You take advantage of the other guy instead of being taken advantage of.
The only people who are not getting screwed in this market are people with trade-ins because they're canceling out the market. Well, hopefully.
If they're getting a fair value for the trade-in. But you should still do, if you have a trade-in, you should shop your car to find out what you could sell it for if you didn't trade it in, and then you tell the dealer that you buy it from, hey, Vroom or CarMax offered me $2,000 more than you're offering me. So I'm going to sell it to CarMax unless you want to come up on the price and keep the selling price of the new car the same.
Get to be a dealer.
Yeah.
We have more anonymous feedback. This is good. Earl, I'm originally from California, and I remember Earl Scheib paint and auto body commercials with his famous pitch. I'm Earl Scheib, and I'll paint any car for $99.95. Was there ever an Earl Scheib location in South Florida during his heyday?
I don't think so. He never made it to Florida. I heard he was nationwide famous, and everybody heard about it, and everybody copied him. There were a lot of 99.95 paint jobs, and there might even still be. I mean, you give me a spray can, I'll paint your car for $99.95. I mean,
I'm Earl Stewart. I'll paint your car for $99.94.
I mean, if you see some of these paint jobs, we see them, as being a car dealer, but you get what you pay for. A good paint job, what's a good paint job cost? $1,000?
No.
A lot more than that.
As a matter of fact, I looked into this just recently.
Yeah.
To properly, the average car, to remove any trim,
break
tape
it down,
over
tape it up.
properly, really do a proper, good, high-quality paint job, you're looking at almost $10,000 at a quality shop.
Wow.
Yeah. Maybe back in the 70s, $99.95 would get you a good paint job.
Yeah, back then.
Yeah, because they didn't have to worry about like the EPA or anything like that. They just paint it in the backyard.
Yep.
All right, I think I'm caught up on the anonymous feedback. Let me check for some new text. Oops, we're all caught up. What you got over there, Rick?
We're actually caught up right now.
Okay, great. That number is 877-960-9960. You can text us at 772-497-6530. Something caught my eye. You and I Earl. We're looking at the automotive news, and do you want to make a mention to page 22, or do you have some other agenda to share with the audience?
Oh, the gender safety gap. Yeah. We had a call last week from a man. I forgot his name, but he said that there was a discussion about women and not being injured at a higher percentage. He said men have more accidents, and we got into a discussion. I'm saying, well, it isn't a question of maybe the men don't drive as carefully, but given an accident with a man and a woman, the woman is more inclined to be injured. And then I'm glad Nancy brought that up, because there is a discussion about that, and there's not enough data out there. There's some fairly reputable scientific research that questions how much more women are injured. So it's not black and white. My gut tells me, my intuition tells me that it makes sense that if you use male-based crash dummies and based your design on a male-based crash dummy, then the women would tend to be injured more frequently. But apparently there is some, I'm looking for the page here, page 22, yeah.
While you're looking for that page, I want to thank Donovan again, who is a regular, he's the YouTube guy, and Rick fills us in on what he has to say every week. And he brought to our attention the topic that Earl is talking about.
Yeah. I found it.
Did you find it? Okay.
I found it. Here's if you're streaming us, a big article in today's automotive news about the gender gap, and a pretty good discussion. It's not what I've believed. It's not what others believed. There's a bill introduced in Congress now. This is interesting. We could take this to beat up the Congress. I always love to beat up congressmen. But they introduced a bill that said that there has to be laws making cars safe for women, just like they make cars safe for men in accidents. And the interesting thing is that there's only 66 congressmen out of 535 members that signed the bill. I thought that was kind of disgusting that would be the case.
And you would think that it would be more because, as they stated in the automotive news, 73% of women are likely to get seriously injured. 17% die.
Now, the problem is that they haven't gone into enough detail. One of the reasons that I hadn't thought about is that the women can be more likely injured is women definitely tend to buy different type of cars than men. If you look at, for example, the big obnoxious pickup trucks you see on the road are generally driven by men, and we see women typically in the smaller SUVs and other type cars. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done on this. Rick talked earlier in the show about European, the Tesla Y, that said that it was safer for women and for children and for men, the Tesla Y model. So that indicates that in Europe they are testing cars for women and for men and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of more work that needs to be done. I don't think that the disparity is necessarily all the way the car is designed, but also maybe the way of the type of cars that are bought by women or men. So if I tell you to read this, but it's in the automotive news, page 22 of this issue, but most people don't have a copy except for car dealers and manufacturers. And the first one, I wish I could remember the person that called the show last week. I apologize to him because he was on to something that I didn't understand as much, and he wasn't totally wrong. I thought he was totally wrong. He's partially right about this. So here's a subject: men versus women, how cars should be tested. This needs a lot more study and looking into. Okay, where are we? You want to go to the mystery shopping report, and then if we have some text or anonymous feedbacks, we can get them
We do have more on Earl Scheib. We have a response. In the 1950s, Earl Scheib advertised painting your car for $29.95 plus a $10 free body and fender work.
Yeah. Well, I was going to add that little tidbit to this whole paint conversation because back in the 70s when I had a car painted, I certainly didn't pay $9.95. I paid something like maybe $50, and it was a great paint job.
Yeah, thanks, Bob.
But that was then, and this is now.
Yeah, it's we were talking in the car as we always do coming to the show, and one of our discussions Nancy and I had was do car dealers, disreputable, treacherous, mean old car dealers bear all of the blame for what is happening in the way of exploitation and is selling repairs that don't need to be done, selling cars for $10,000 over a sticker? Is it all the bad car dealers? And we had a discussion, a dispute. Nancy and I did.
Well, I don't know. Was it a dispute? I think it was pretty passionate.
And I said that I think that at some point consumers do have a responsibility, and I think that on this show we're preaching to the choir because most of the people listen to the show and call on the show are quite educated, and that's the reason we have the vigilantes. We recruit listeners to the show to help others. There's an element of our population out there, a fairly large element, who lack the sophistication, experience, education to make the right decision when they buy a car. There's a famous legal expression, caveat emptor, buyer beware, that's accepted in law. That's English law, and we have it in our laws, and most countries have it in their laws. There's a certain amount of responsibility to buyers. You have to beware. And so that's what this show is all about, trying to help you beware of being taken advantage of. But let's face it, you walk into a store, most salespeople are paid on commission, okay? That's the way you feed your family. That's the way you make your mortgage payment, by selling at a high price to make a high commission. And so when you walk into that store and you say, I'll take that without any due diligence, without any concern, without any negotiation, or without any shopping and comparing prices, are you responsible? I say yes, to some extent. I say for the people, maybe the burden lies on the state, lies on with the government. We should have a certain minimum bar of educational requirement. Now we get into a huge discussion about education and blah, blah, blah. But that's what we do on this show. We educate, and we need more vigilantes. If you go to earlandcars.com, you can become a vigilante. We'll even give you a hat. And if you have people in your area that need help, they can call you locally. If you're in Pennsylvania, if you're in Tennessee, if you're in Florida, we'll have your name and contact information on earlandcars.com. Help the disadvantaged, the people educationally, English language-wise, first-time buyers, the elder, senior population. A lot of people are taken advantage of, so that's what we do on this show, is try to educate.
Also that advertisement from the newspaper that we brought in together that's sitting to the right of you, well, it's really worth reading over and over again, which we don't have time for, but according to that advertisement in the newspaper, I believe it was the Sun Sentinel.
Yeah.
Okay, you can get yourself, well, let's start with the gas. For a whole year, free gas. They'll make all your car payments for another year. Do you get my point? Now, we'll go to the mystery shopper report of Al Henderson Toyota.
Okay, again, I got to compliment Stu. This was very well written. Stu is in charge of the mystery shopping report, and he takes the raw data from Agent Lightning and puts it into prose form, and he does a great job. I like
he does a whole lot of gives it a whole lot of flair.
Yeah, I like the biggest, baddest Toyota dealership in the world is Longo Toyota near Los Angeles, California. Now I still love the pros, the biggest, baddest. Actually, Longo Toyota happens to be one of the more
nicer.
Yeah, I mean they're highly ethical.
Yeah.
And they run a.
I shouldn't use badass. I meant it's like bad is good. Like
And again, I digress because of my age. Longo Toyota used to be owned by an alleged mafia member, and his name was Dominic Longo, who was alleged to be a made member of the mafia, and it was really a kind of a scandalous thing.
Allegedly.
And it's no longer. They since sold out, and in the current, they kept the name. I thought interesting, but the Longo Toyota. If you live out in the Los Angeles area, if you want to buy a car really, really inexpensively and get treated right, you go into Longo Toyota. They're huge. Number one, Al Hendrickson is very close. I didn't realize this, but Stu said they're within 86 cars.
Last year.
Oh, last year.
Yeah,
they were.
last year Hollywood beat Al Hendrickson by
Everybody
80s.
wants to beat Longo. They're the big one. But if you live in California, Longo, you can't go wrong there. Best price. Even during the craziness of the pandemic and the upside-down world that followed, Longo maintained its lead over all other Toyota dealerships by a sizable margin. Now, they are consistently over 1,000 cars a month. I mean, they sell like 14,000 new Toyotas a year. The number 2 volume Toyota dealership in the world used to be Hollywood Toyota, and that was the advertisement that Nancy was alluding to earlier. We have a typical Hollywood Toyota ad, which is just crazy. You buy a car from us, we'll buy your gas. I mean, it's just crazy kind of stuff. But they are no longer. Al Hendrickson is kind of kicking them out. And in 2021, Al lost to Hollywood by just 89 cars. Now, are they ahead this year?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so, and ultimately, and this is
I mean, they're currently the number 2 Toyota dealer in the world. They have to make it to the end of the year, but they got a big lead.
Yeah, and now Al Hendrickson Jr., we heard this from some very reliable sources, promised his mother.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay.
That he would be the number 1 Toyota dealership in the world one day. And so I believe they're going to make it. They'll do almost anything to sell a Toyota. So, where am I? I keep digressing and losing my place. Al Hendrickson had to hurt. 2020 was a transitional year for car dealers. The first half of the year, they were giving cars away. This is beautiful. It's true. The first half of 2021, it was dog eat dog, selling cars below your cost, actually losing money on cars, anything to get volume. And then here we are, just a short time later, they're selling the same dealership selling cars for thousands of dollars over MSRP. A caller saw $10,000 over on an Audi at Bremen Audi. So this year, seemingly following the mantra, by any means necessary, Al Hendrickson finally took the lead. So there are about 800 sales so far, ahead, or is that what it is? Oh, wow. Ahead of Hollywood. This has been done with a combination of new vehicle allocation trickery, and we won't get into that with a lot of detail, but the dealers not only know how to take advantage of you, they know how to take advantage of the manufacturer by lying and cheating to get more cars, which is where you make more money because you have more cars when it's a seller's market. So it's a very interesting world, a crazy world out there. Bait and switch, high pressure, etc. These guys are the king of the junk fees. Some of the biggest we ever saw were at Al Hendrickson Toyota. Okay, here we go. I say all this because when Stu and Agent Lightning were discussing a Target dealership for a new Costco-style mystery shop, I suggested, now I'm being Earl Stewart, I suggested Al Hendrickson Toyota. Stu's response was, oh, God. And it's scary to go in there. We actually had a mystery shopper that almost came to blows with the... was that the same dealership?
I don't know if it was the same dealership. I thought you were going to say almost lost their life.
Yeah, Scott Cadmus, yeah.
Oh, no, that was at Palm Beach Toyota.
Palm Beach Toyota, yeah. So our undercover shoppers have really had some very dangerous confrontations in the past.
Yeah.
I used a Miami zip code. This is Agent Lightning speaking. I'm in the first person as if I were Agent Lightning. I used a Miami zip code on CostcoAuto.com, and I said earlier, this is the way to buy a car if you carefully follow the rules. I had to get the system to show me a participating Costco auto dealership further south from here. Now, my dealership, Earl Stewart Toyota, is the only Costco dealer in South Florida other than, apparently, Al Hendrickson. So
I'm not sure. Yeah.
I haven't checked, but that's what Agent Lightning
I thought
said.
Delray was, but apparently Delray wasn't coming up. So.
Yeah, well, we're coming up. Anyway, Al Hendrickson Toyota came up on a search for a new 2022 Toyota Camry XSE with an MSRP of $36,249. Now, last week when we shopped Schumacher Volkswagen, they popped up, and I was appraised, and Stu learned that the Costco has to sell a car for no more than $350 off of MSRP. So that is one of the reasons that the Costco dealers are dropping like flies. Nobody wants to sell a car below MSRP. And you'll see the irony there later on in this shopping report. So, Agent Lightning, I exchanged emails with Al Hendrickson Toyota and began receiving texts and phone calls from Francisco, the Costco rep, presumably the salesperson. Francisco said he'd been assigned to help me and told me to ask for him when I arrived. I asked him if he was a trained Costco representative, and he said he was. And that's one of the rules, and if you're going to do a Costco member purchase, be sure you deal with the Costco membership and that member dealer's name is on the website when you put in your zip code. So you want to buy whatever make, they'll tell you where the dealer is, and they'll tell you the name of the salesperson, the approved Costco person you should deal with. Only deal with him. I Ubered, in quotation marks, I really had my husband drive me to Al Hendrickson Toyota and met Francisco at the front door. He led me inside to an office back in the corner, and Francisco explained at length about how great the Costco program was, and it is, but it's also very complicated, and it shouldn't be, but it is. He said he was so glad I was going through Costco because that meant I was going to save a lot of money today, and that is true. I asked if he had Camrys in stock, and he assured me that he did. He asked what trim level I preferred, and I replied that I was not familiar with the different trims. Francisco suggested we walk outside and see the cars. I picked out a new black Camry XSE, and we took it for a test drive. We talked about Toyotas, and I told him I'd always been interested in hybrids, but never seriously considered one. Francisco said that he had a black Camry hybrid in stock. Now, it's unusual that he would have that type of car, but remember, we're talking about the second.
Yeah, we're talking about Al Hendrickson Toyota.
Al Hendrickson.
They're keeping some cars for the.
Yeah, you got a lot of cars. Yeah. My excitement was doused, though, when he said hybrids were excluded from the Costco program. So there you are. Even Al Hendrickson excludes some cars from the Costco program. That Camry, however, would be sold with a full market adjustment tacked on. And that full market adjustment is a doozy. We decided to stick with a non-hybrid.
Of course.
Of course. The MSRP was the same as I'd seen in the Costco inquiry, $36,249. There was an addendum for about $6,500 right next to the Monroney label. So that's there for the non-Costco members, and they don't know any different. We went back to the desk, and Francisco left to go upstairs to get the numbers from Alberto, his online person. In a few minutes, Francisco and Alberto came back with a Costco member-only price sheet. Now, remember those words? We talked about it last week with Schumacher Volkswagen. You'll always get the Costco member-only price sheet. It'll be right there on the top, Costco member-only price sheet. See that. Be sure it's not a forgery. Be sure it is that, and then read it carefully. You have to read the smaller print as well as the larger print.
If it says Catco member-only price sheet, run.
The Costco member-only price sheet was $35,707, which was $541.68 below MSRP. Now you say, wow, how about that? But that's the Costco member-only big print price. Costco, and we don't, Nancy and I talked about this in the car on the way coming in. Costco, member only require that they put their extra charges on the Costco member price sheet. They don't have to deduct it from the Costco member only price. Now that's just stupid. The Costco member only price, just like the advertised price, should have the out the door price, but Costco member only price membership rules don't require that. So if you look at the Costco member only price sheet, you'll see the price for $35,707, and then you will see this in smaller print. The disclosure indicated they'd be adding $895 dock fee, $559.55 electronic registration filing fee, and $144.45 tag agency fee. So there you have $1,057 added to the $35,707 MSRP, which was $541 below MSRP. So here you have a wash of $500 some odd dollars over MSRP, which is still not a bad deal.
No, they're $1,000 over MSRP. In fact, that's what was the price, which is better than the rest of the market, but it's still.
Yeah.
And you still got to add tax on top of that.
Mm-hmm. And a tag fee.
Okay, wait a minute. Now, the arithmetic here, if the 35,707 is 541 below, and you add back I see. You add back, if you add all that up, you've got
you add back about 15,
yeah,
1,600 bucks.
15, then you're 1,057 over MSRP. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so there we are. I asked for a buyer's order that broke down all the pricing information with an out-the-door price. He said I could only get the out-the-door price by adding all the fees and sales tax, then asked for my driver's license so I could get me into finance. They wanted to get you into finance. You regular listeners know that. That's the box, we call it. That's where they really get you. That's where they used to make more money than they do selling you the car. Today, they just make a couple $1,000, and in addition to what they sell you the car for. Francisco and Alberto refused to provide anything else. They wouldn't give me a piece of paper with an out-the-door price. They said I would get that in the box in the finance office. I changed the subject and brought up a promotion of theirs I'd seen online, and Nancy talked about this earlier, this ad that I held up the paper for. They were advertising free gas.
I guess at Hollywood started, or I guess they're in like a gas war there.
Hollywood, yeah. So
free gas for a year.
Yeah, free gas for a year. I mean, it just if you believe that, I don't mean.
Well, he addressed it. He said he wouldn't qualify because
he wouldn't qualify. Yeah. So I asked for an explanation for the dock fee, and this is a doozy. Alberta explained there was a dealership fee used to pay the lot attendants and detailers. That's totally untrue, and it's just shooting from the hip by a car salesman, and you get a lot of that. And that's the end of the shopping report. I have copies of the addendum label and the rest of it. The most important thing, I'll hold this up with the camera, is I did last week with Schumacher Volkswagen. This is the Costco member-only price sheet. If you are a Costco member and you do use this program, you must see this, and then you must look for the small print. And I circled down here, I got my finger pointing to it. This is where they add the over $1,000 in additional fees and to the price. So the Costco member-only price on the Costco member-only price sheet has the fact that the Costco member price is not really the out-the-door price.
Yeah, they could have taken one little extra step and done some arithmetic for the customers.
And again, I'll digress a little more because we do have the time. And I'm talking now to Alliance. Alliance is the company that Costco subs their member-only buying program to. I say to Alliance, but I say more to Costco. If you really want to be Costco, true blue Costco, then make the Costco member-only price the out-the-door price. Don't allow them to use a Costco member-only price sheet as a dupe to the customer, because they're not going to look at this.
It's like a worksheet. It's like a typical sales worksheet.
They're going to look. Where are they going to look? They're going to look at the Costco member price there. They're not going to look down here. So why do you allow that? You're allowing that because you don't, I think, to Costco, you don't know it's happening. Alliance allows that because they get paid for every sale. And this way the dealers can screw you more often by popping in enough add-on fees, hidden fees, to negate the really, really good Costco price. So this is my attack on Alliance. I'll probably live to regret it, because last time we attacked Alliance,
we had a few meetings.
They were going to cancel us as a Costco dealer. So I dare you.
All right.
I dare you. But we need to get Costco in line with Alliance, and we need to clean up the program. By the letter of the law, I guess it's legal, but to me, it's not fair to the customer. So there we are. Al Hendrickson Toyota, Costco member program, time for the votes.
All right, they're coming in. Jonathan in Wellington says, you're either a Costco member or you're not. Exclusions are BS. Costco needs to yank this dealership now from the program. Excessive fees are ridiculous. Hendrickson Toyota will never get a dime from me. Give them an F for fraudulent fees. And we have from Mark a big no, a C. And I'm more inclined to go closer to what I went last week with Schumacher with the Costco program. It seems to be the way that the dealers are doing it out there. I mean, they're getting a price. It's coming in below MSRP. The junk fees are taking them above it. So I'm going to give them a C minus. And by the way, Bob came in D for deceptive pricing.
Yeah, I see your logic there, and the reason Stu looks at it that way is that we've seen Costco dealers that, even though we don't like the fine print disclosure of the extra fees, they don't add all the extra fees. And the ones that are on the Costco member price sheet, right, they have other fees besides that.
What concerns me with a Costco experience or Costco mystery shop is if you go in there with a Costco, you expecting to see a Costco person, then you're just put into the machine and you go back in the normal back and forth. That's the cardinal sin that would happen on a mystery shop. Yeah. In this case, even though there were fees, they presented they followed the program. They showed them the Costco price sheet. They asked for her card. They gave her the price, and the price. Well, she didn't go into finance, so we don't know what would have happened then. But up until that point, everything was kind of by the book.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of. It wasn't perfect.
You're right.
Well, I've got Kirk in West by God, Virginia. Says Costco member only price turns out to funny games to shift to the box. Just what Stu said. Mm-hmm. The not so Costco price earns a solid D. Mark Anderson and Mark from St. Louis, a D. And Tim Gilliland, C minus. Joseph Kelleher, F for fees. Brian Sidlatko, believe it or not, I'm giving him a solid B. I guess he was a little more impressed.
Yeah, there was nothing crazy happening.
Yeah, I mean they went a little overboard with it, but I think I'm going to agree with Stu. I'm going to go with the nice average with a C, and say you got to keep your eyes open, keep your wits about you, and good luck, folks. And by the way, that Costco membership card, if you buy your fuel at Costco, quite often it'll pay for that membership over the course of a year. Just buying gas there.
Yeah, that's the truth.
Good point.
Definitely.
Yeah, and again, I'll say this, that the Costco member program, if you're smart and you go by the letter of the program, you will save money. So we're not beating them up yet. We're just saying that they need to modify it for the average buyer.
Definitely. For this mystery shopper report, I'm going to give them a D. And folks, just because you hold that Costco card in your hand, you really have to educate yourself. You really have to be alert. You got to watch your back, the whole 9 yards. There's a lot of I's to be dotted, T's to be crossed, and there's a whole lot of people involved here. And for that, the communication, the whole thing, it can just be lost in translation, like I said earlier. So, again, I give the mystery shop a D.
And I've got Rocky Blockatiel came in with a solid C.
Yeah, we're on the curve. A lot of people don't know, regular listeners know this, but we grade on the curve, meaning that the best dealer really gets an A, and the worst dealer gets an F, but that doesn't mean the best dealer is playing by the rules. And we don't think, virtually no dealer really is by the rules, virtually. There are some, very few. And therefore, dealers do things we don't like, and we give them a C or a B, even an A. We've given some A's out where everybody can improve. And that's the reason we sometimes don't fail people that you think we should fail.
Yeah, continuous improvement, Kaizen.
I'm going to go with C minus on
C minus. I said
Okay,
C minus.
ladies and gentlemen,
Just repeat.
thank you so much for joining us today. We definitely enjoy your company. Look forward to seeing you, talking with you next week, right here on the Oldies Channel, 8 a.m. to 10. Go Steelers.